The following program is a West Tennessee PBS special presentation made possible through the generous financial support of viewers like you. Please visit westtnpbs.org and make a donation today so that we can continue to make local programs like this possible. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. I was glad it didn't come down raining like it has the past couple of days, but it's still awful chilly out there. Black tie and boxing reminded me, soon after I was sworn in, I got a call from somebody wanting me to participate in black tie and boxing, and they wanted me to fight Mayor Conger. I thought about that for about a half a second, and I said, number one, I don't know, he's a pretty stout guy. Number two, I don't know if that's the visual we want in a ring, is our county, our city physically fighting each other. So we both put it into that conversation. But so glad to be here, fellow Rotarians, and share with you some facts about Madison County and what the last year of our county activities have been. I want to welcome some county officials. We have Commissioner Gary Deaton here, Commissioner Joey Hale. Appreciate you guys being here. Our county trustee, Billy Burkhead, is with us as well. DA General Jody Pickens is here, and Donna Harris with Jackson Madison County Library is here as well. So we appreciate that, and anybody I might have missed, I apologize. I was sitting down, didn't see everybody. So I also would be remiss if I didn't mention we did lose a couple of folks close to our county this last year. Commissioner Harold Petty passed away after 9 years serving District 10 for Madison County, so we miss his presence and his service. And then Commissioner Luther Mercer's wife, of course, Miss Charlene, passed away this last year, and Commissioner Mercer is over District 1. So we miss their contribution, and we miss their being a part of our society. So I've been in office for 496 days, not that I'm counting. I'm kind of getting to that level where I can't blame Mayor Harris for what has happened so far. For a while there, you can always say, well, that was the other guy. Now, some might say I could always blame Mayor Harris. I don't think he's here, so I can say that. I could always blame Mayor Harris, but I'm getting to that point now where our administration is standing on its own 2 feet, and we're seeing some success. As far as what's happened in my office since the last year, we've made some personnel changes in the mayor's office, what we like to call the West Wing, the upstairs, the west side of the courthouse. Of course, I have my mainstay, Mr. Jetta Nelson, who made sure I was here today. Absolutely. Round of applause for that. When I was first elected, coming in after serving behind Mayor Harris, who had been in office for 15 years, she didn't know how to handle Mayor Massey. She didn't know how hard to push, and the first few months of, may I make a suggestion that you need to leave right now? And I finally said, will you stop doing it? Just tell me to leave. Tell me to get up and go. So she's gotten in that group where she keeps me on track and keeps us all in the West Wing on track. I'm also very proud to say I hired a new deputy mayor, Terica Smith. Terica, stand up for me if you don't mind. Terica is a longtime friend of mine. We went to high school together. She's a JCM girl, so go Cougars. She comes to us from a nearly 20-year career as an attorney and working in the DA's office. So her value add to the county has been tremendous. Number one, she's running our HR department at a level that I don't think we've seen in a while. Efficiency and policy-wise, we're running at a level where we understand what's happening and what's coming up, and it's very efficient. Number two, she and I are opposites in many ways. I think you can tell that visually, but I also emotionally and the way that we look at things are different, but we all have a vision for what's best for this county and what's best for our citizens. And so having somebody in the office literally across the hall that I can kind of break down issues with, talk and get advice from, and she, once again, she treats me with kid gloves at times and doesn't tell me the truth until I ask for it, but she's great at what she does, and it's been a very, very big value add to Madison County. Another thing that we've implemented in the last year is department head meetings. Before my time, I understand there was no department head meetings for all the county departments. There's nearly 30 county departments, and getting them all in one room to talk about the future of our county hadn't happened in a long time. And I didn't really see that as something that I wanted to continue, so we have those now, and we have another one coming up in February where we begin to talk about how we can best serve one another. And that was something I was very proud about during my first department head meeting last year. I asked them, what's not going well? I started off with that. What's not going well? And there was a few things trickle around. Well, this could go better, but there really wasn't much. And I was frankly shocked about that. I said, well, what's going well? What do we need to replicate? What's something one department's doing that another can steal and work with? Boy, the room lit up, and they started pointing fingers across the room, and well, she does this for me, and he does this for me, and this, I want to thank so-and-so, and the compliments started flying across the room, and that just told me that this county works really well together. From the outside looking in, it can seem a little fragmented because there are so many different pieces of our county, but having them all in one room, and they're all saying we work together, and we help each other, and we loan resources, sometimes even budgetary resources, to make sure that our county operates at a high level. It was impressive to me, and I was really proud of that. So part of my job as a county mayor is to bring everybody together around one focus. The structure of our county is a little bit different than other organizations. My job is not to direct action. My job is really to kind of officiate action. My job is to bring people to the table and all try to pull towards one goal. Lots of different people, lots of different opinions, lots of different time frames. There's people that have been here for decades or people that are just starting out. But we have to pull everybody together. And so I'm going to give you guys a little preview up to my next department head meeting. Has anybody ever seen an antique fire bucket? Okay, probably not. So a fire bucket, let me get that water if you don't mind, Melinda. Yeah, thank you. An antique fire bucket, there's one piece unique about an antique fire bucket. Does anybody know what the unique part of an antique fire bucket would be? It's old, yes, it's old. It has a round bottom. Okay, so it's a bucket with a rounded bottom. Now, why in the world would a bucket have a rounded bottom? Seems like a pretty useless bucket to me. Well, there's two reasons that those buckets are shaped that way. Number one is so they can't be borrowed or stolen for other purposes. You want that fire bucket to be there when that fire happens. 150, 200 years ago when there were no access to pumps or access to underground water, they had to pump and they had to bring that water from another source. They had to bring it from a lake, a river, something to the fire, to the issue. And so you don't want that bucket to be walking away to be used in a horse barn or somewhere else. So you want that bucket to be unique. But the second reason that bucket has a rounded bottom is because once you have that bucket, what do you have to do? You have to pass it around. You have to take it to the fire. You have to do something effective with that bucket. If you set it down, what happens to a round bottom bucket? It falls over. It's done. The opportunity to help that situation now has to be begun again. You have to go back to the source and start all over. And so a round bottom fire bucket has to be passed from one person to the other. And so this is our theme for 2024 with our county is we're not going to drop any bucket. We're not going to put it down. If you call a department and that's not their department issue, we're not just going to let it sit. We're going to pass it on to the correct department until that water is used to put out that fire. We're not going to put it down. And we're going to lean on each department to do that. Because trust me, and I know Mayor Conger can attest to this, I get calls about 400 things that I have no direct impact over. It's not my department. It's not my issue. But I can pass the bucket. I can make sure that bucket's in secure hands. I can make sure that the person that has that bucket, that's their fire that they can put out. And so we're going to talk about that, and I'll have visible specimens of my round bottom fire bucket to pass out for everybody to see. So that's kind of been the last year of learning for me, is learning how to effectuate that change and to put people in the right places to move forward. Now I'm going to do a little bit different than previous addresses. I'm not going to read to you from a script. I'm just going to go through some really unique and important facts of what's happened in Madison County the last part of it will be fiscal year, but mostly it'll be January to December. So just last year, I'm a banker, and so I do light up when numbers get talked about. So I am going to talk about some numbers here. Our fiscal year runs through June 30th, and I was proud to say that our county departments turned back into the county $2.9 million, 2.969 to be exact. So right at $3 million, your county department heads said we didn't use it any other way, county take it back. Now, some people would say we over budgeted, right, Gary Deaton? Say maybe we gave them too much to begin with, but the reality is this is departments that said we have this need for the next 12 months, and they planned for that. They could have used that money. They could have spent that money. It could have floated away to other needs. They didn't do that. Our county department heads said, no, this is money that could be best used, put it back in the pile, and let's put it to use. So $3 million going back into your budget at the end of the year is a positive sign of good financial management. Some more positive signs. We have sales tax revenue. Tax revenues are up about 9% up to October this last year. So things are continuing to move. We had a boom after COVID when people came out of hiding and started buying again locally. But now we're still clipping at above 9%. Our fund balance for the county grew to $22 million, and our debt service balance grew to $21 million. And so that's a lot of money sitting there for a rainy day. Now the debt service piece I think I'm most proud of, because this allows us to be reactive and proactive as we go about the next decade of Madison County. The biggest piece of that, we have a pretty large balloon payment for the construction of Jackson Central Mary High School and junior high coming up in 2027. That's about $17 million is what that'll be. And the plan, I understand, when it was first borrowed, would it be refinanced in 2027. I'm proud to say that today in 2024, we're prepared to pay that debt off with no new debt issuance or refinance at that point. So that balance will continue to grow, but that's why we're growing it at that clip, to make sure that we can go ahead and pay that off and not have that debt, and your county taxpayers won't have to be burdened with that. Our annual debt service payment, we're paying about $13 million a year towards our annual debt. That's above and beyond minimums, and so be proud of that. We are hitting our debt hard, making sure that goes down. In February 2023, some other highlights from our financial world. We hired a full-time grant coordinator in the county, so we have a grant coordinator who's operating and applying for new grants throughout the county. As anybody who's in government service or nonprofit service knows, grants are lucrative, but they're very hard to manage and they're very, very time intensive, and sometimes the management after the grant is awarded is time intensive. So having a county individual that's in charge of that is important. We have 30 grants currently active, about $9.5 million worth of grants in process right now, and pending, hopefully ready to land, is about $1.5 million more. So that continues to go. So you're talking about $11 million of non-taxpayer money that could be put to use for county services. I'm going to throw out some more numbers here. Madison County ended fiscal year. Our property taxes was about $28 million. We budgeted about $28.5. Sales tax was about $1.7 million. That's about what we budgeted. Hotel motel came in at $1.1 million for last year. We budgeted $950,000. Our business tax, $3,065,000 was our business tax. We budgeted $1.6 million. So we came in nearly double what our plan for business taxes are, and there's a few reasons for that I could go into later. And then our gas tax. Our gas tax, we budgeted $3 million in gas income, and we had 3.4. So these are all positive things that show good management and show good growth in our county. I'm also want to say thank you to our county commission because they put their money where their mouth is, and they funded some initiatives that are going to help our community. First of all, 5% raises for all county employees, depending on the department head, to put that out to their best effective employees. So I thank the commission for that. That's important, and that's a good way. I'm also thank the commission for funding and paying our fire and EMA directors, our fire chief and our EMA director, at the level that they needed to be paid. I know Mayor Conger can attest to this. EMA is extremely important. He works with city and county to make sure that we're safe from threats that most of you will never even know about because our EMA director does their job and keeps us safe. And of course, county fire, same there. They're paid at the level. Another quick story about our county fire. I'm very proud of our chief. I understand that he had been allocated raises in years past and had given it to other employees. So that's why when I looked at his income compared to surrounding counties, I was kind of shocked and disappointed. But that's why. That's the kind of leader he was. He was giving it to his employees, and this year I made him take it. So that's to say a thank you for that. Our county commission also allocated $50,000 to Jackson-Madison County School System above and beyond the budgeted amount that they were contributed this year for classroom grants. So that's $50,000 going directly to the classroom and for Jackson-Madison County Schools, so those teachers can apply and put those grants to use for special projects. Our county commission, the biggest kind of outside the box funding that we did this last year, county commission funded 32 SROs for our public schools. So right now, I talked to Sheriff Weiser last night. 20 of them have been hired. There's 6 more that are going through the post-certification process right now, and then he's got 6 more on the tail end. The goal is to have 32 SROs. That'll be 2 SROs, that's school resource officers, in every one of our high schools, maybe 1 to 2 in each one of our junior highs, and then 1 in each one of our elementary schools. This is on top of the school safety officers that our school system has employed as well. So you'll have to know that the building structures are being looked at to keep our students safe, to make sure that there's barriers to entry outside the school. The teachers are being trained for issues that may occur, but on top of that, we're going to put post-certified sheriff's deputies in each school, at least 1, maybe 2, to make sure our children are protected. And having a wife and a child in those schools every day, that's extremely important to me. Some of the fun stuff, we had Christmas lights at our courthouse this year. Anybody see our Christmas lights out there? Very proud of that. We hired a new parks director this last fall, and he said, I want to do this big light project. And I said, that's great. You don't have any money to do that. You realize that, right? He said, well, no, I get donations, and I get community support for that. So he went about that on his own. He said, I'm going to put it at Pewborn Park. So, okay, we'll see how this works. Well, Pewborn Park's not built for that right now. We don't have electrical where we need it. So he said, well, what do you want me to do? I said, well, just bring them to the courthouse. Well, after a few months, or about a month of that being at the courthouse, I said, you have to come back next year. I had employees that were looking out the window and seeing what the next thing being installed was. So we're going to continue that, and then it'll be even bigger in years to come. Where he came from, the county in Kentucky he came from, he grew that from about 20, which is about what we had this year, to over 200 light displays in one of their county parks up there. So imagine driving through Pewborn Park and it being a replacement for some past events in Madison County with your family, and it'll be free, donations accepted kind of deal. So we're proud of that. Of course, this is community-wide, but we were approved for a $37 million workforce development center on Jackson State's campus. Design is ongoing with plans to break ground soon. Of course, if you go to North Madison County on Ashport Road, you'll see our county-funded Pope Elementary under construction. That's a pre-K through 8, broke ground this last year and is under construction. They're blowing and going. I counted 4 track hose and 4 or 5, I couldn't see over the gate, other big heavy pieces of equipment that are going to work over there. That's a $48 million project directly funded from our county that'll educate 1,250 students in Northwest Madison County, the fastest growing portion of our county. That's going to have athletic fields and facilities, as well as a county safe room. So there's a $4.2 million county safe room that'll be on that campus. So that part of the community, if there's storms or issues, they'll have a safe place to go and won't have to travel all the way to some of our other safe rooms. Anybody been to Middle Fork State Bottoms Park in Three-Way? Raise your hand if you've been out there. All right, y'all got some work to do. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. Just north of us in Three-Way, we have Middle Fork Bottoms State Park. It was announced as a state park in Governor Lee's budget this last year. He allocated $26 million to make Madison County have our second state park. We have Pinson Mound State Park, and now we have Middle Fork Bottoms State Park. If you don't know much about it, it's 800 acres. There's 6 lakes out there, 250,000 recently planted hardwood trees. There's a retriever training pond, and I'm proud to say that nearly all of the park, at least the paved portions, is a handicap accessible park. So bikes and wheelchairs or whatever else you're on can get wherever you need to go in that park and see the entire thing. And that $26 million is going to fund 24/7 full-time park staff. Right now, they don't have an office to sit in, so you'll see them out there in their truck a lot. But that office will be constructed along as well as a welcome center, meeting space overlooking the lake, and bathrooms out there. That's important. So please go out and visit that park. It's beautiful, and it'll continue to grow and develop. We are seeking to put some major resources into our Madison County Airport. Jackson-Madison County Airport. So seeking $80 million in total improvements. Right now under construction or beginning soon is $22 million runway reconstruction. We have a control tower reconstruction, $900,000 there. Hangar access road, we're redoing that. That's $500,000. And we are actively pursuing and aggressively pursuing direct flight access from Jackson to Detroit. That's important for our partnerships in the region, but especially with Blue Oval. If you're flying in as an executive from Ford, from Detroit or Dearborn, and you fly into Memphis, you have to fly into Memphis. You have to get to your car. You have to get through downtown, midtown traffic, all the way to the mega site, hour and 40-minute round trip process from landing to getting to where you need to go. You land at McKellar Sipes, you can be on site at Blue Oval in about 37 minutes. That's important, and for executives at that level, that's millions of dollars of their time and effort that can be saved. So they're wanting us to do it. We're working really hard to make that happen out at McKellar Sipes, so we're working towards that. Another great thing that happened last year that we found out about, the crossings at Exum Place. This is a mixed-use development, $350 million development on Ashport Road between Highway 45 Bypass and North Highland. 260,000 square feet of commercial, 1,100 residential units, outdoor venues, farmers markets, approximately 40 acres of green space, including multiple lakes and a dog park. There'll be 600 single-family homes, townhomes, as well as over 500 apartments, including loft apartments and a senior housing unit. So this is a unique, first of its kind in Madison County. That'll be definitely contribute to the tax rolls, and we're proud about that. But it's going to be kind of put us on the map as a growing progressive city and county, and we're proud of that development. We opened our jail this last February. That's not big news, but it's big news for us in the county because it got these inmates in the right conditions. It put them closer to the services they need. We're able to expand services. And I will say our population has decreased by about 100 inmates since I took office. Now, don't panic. Those people aren't out on the street. But they are repurposed and they're put in the right place to make sure that they're effective and can get out and be contributing members to our society. I'm proud of Sheriff Weiser and the work he's done. He has numerous, too many to list, programs that are happening in our jail, faith-based and otherwise, to help people with addiction, help people with mental health, help people to get back out into the workforce and do that constructively. Oh, and by the way, Sheriff Weiser and his team picked up over 100,000 pounds of litter last year in our county roads. So stop throwing it out, first of all. But second of all, we're glad we have a team in place to take care of that. We also have our Tennessee State Games were announced this last December. Tennessee State Games is an amateur Olympic-style event, a multi-sport event that's set to debut in Jackson in June of 2025. So look forward to that. It's going to utilize our county parks. It's going to utilize some of our city and county resources, some of our private entities. I know the universities and their sports complexes will be involved. But it'll be an opportunity for people from across the state to come to Jackson and West Tennessee to spend the night over a few nights, compete for a state prize. They'll be able to be Tennessee State champion, Tennessee State Games champion in several events, and spend their tax money and leave it behind in Madison County. So it's also given me the impetus to put some money into our parks. If you interact with our county, chances are there's 2 places you're going to interact with our county. You're going to go to our courthouse. You're going to pay your taxes, which are due next month, by the way, right, Trustee? Pay your taxes. You're going to go renew your tag maybe, or you're going to visit one of our parks. County interaction and, of course, maybe interact with our sheriff. We hope not. But those are the access points to folks in the city of Jackson interacting with our county. So we want to make sure that our county parks are up to snuff, and this gives us an opportunity to do that with the state games coming in. My focus is on Pewborn Park. That's the most active park that we have as far as number of visitors a year. Football, baseball, tennis complex in the front, great playground, great pavilion access, and it needs some work. We need some parking lot improvements, we need some lighting improvements, and we need to make that a showpiece so that when these state games show up, other communities will see what we've done and see how we've invested in that. Everybody wants to talk about roads, so I will mention that. We do have 717 unique roads in Madison County. That's 700 miles. Last year we addressed 1,117 road maintenance requests and completed them. We resurfaced 79 miles of those roads. We began evaluating our asphalt pavement services using artificial intelligence. And this next year, we'll put a $5.2 million grant into work to map all of our cross drains across the county, to map and assess each cross drain in the county, which there's about 400 of. We have that grant will pay to replace about 60 to 70 is what we're predicting of those cross drains all across the county. And next year, there's plans to asphalt pave. That's the real smooth surface, about 20 miles of roads in Madison County next year. So, as far as industrial development, looking back at some history of Madison County, there were decades where there was no industrial development in Madison County, decades where we were begging people to come. That is not the case. As soon as I took office, I was able to participate in the groundbreaking for Georgia Pacific Dixie plant. That's well on its way. It's about 60% complete right now. It's a $425 million project, 900,000 square foot facility sitting on 241 acres in West Madison County. And that's 200 high-paying jobs above the county average. Also, when I took this office, I understood part of my job was industrial development, but I'm also a married man, and I have to understand where I go, and my wife is communicated with. We have small children, and so I get a call on Friday afternoon in January of this last year, and Mandy White said, "Hey, AJ, can you go to Boston on Monday?" And so I said, "Let me call you back." So I hung up the phone, I said, "Hey, babe, can I go to Boston on Monday?" She said, "Well, yeah, I mean, if you need to, that's your job, right?" And I said, "Well, I was checking," and so it's kind of funny that she was surprised I checked with her and made sure. But so we took off, that Sunday evening, landed in Boston, and came home with 6K Energy. 6K Energy is a battery material manufacturer. There's a cathode and an anode side of a battery. They work on the cathode materials. It's a $200 million investment in our airport industrial park, and that's 220 very, very high-paying jobs and high technical skill jobs for our county. So they've already begun to get involved. Hopefully they'll break ground soon, and we'll see their building under construction. So I'm 1 for 1 on industrial projects, so I'll chalk that up. We do have the ability to be selective today. Like I said, 20 years ago, we had to beg, borrow, and plead to get an industry in town. That's not the case now. There are several projects we're working now, and several that we've said no to because they didn't fit our community and they didn't have the pay level that we wanted or the high investment that we wanted to see. Another kind of unknown fact that I want people to know is this time last year, a group of community leaders hosted 24 Blue Oval executives in Madison County. Showed them a good time. We had a good evening with them. Had Lolo perform. We had Mayor Conger and I were able to say a few words, and our chamber led a presentation about why they should choose, if they were moving to West Tennessee, why they should choose Madison County. Of those 24 executives, 12 were in play, okay? 12 were recruits, and we consider them all 5-star, and we wanted them in Madison County. I'm proud to say that as of now, 6 of those have chosen to live in Madison County instead of any other surrounding community. So that you should be proud of that. Half of those executives could have very well afforded to live in another community. They chose Madison County because of all the amenities that we have and because of our people. Great Wolf Lodge is still happening. That's all I'll say. And the last thing I want to finish with is something I'm probably most proud of. This last year, back in March, Mayor Conger and Superintendent King and I got together to discuss an idea that we had about impacting our youth. How can we move from 95th out of 95 counties in our youth services? How can we improve on that number? So out of those conversations and some other people involved, we've developed a children's cabinet. The Madison County Children's Cabinet mission is to create a cross-sector collaborative body that will create and accelerate strategies to improve overall child well-being in Madison County. The Children's Cabinet will work to see Madison County become the fastest improving county in child well-being. This cabinet is about 33 individuals. They're a part of that council because of their job title. So we didn't handpick the person, we handpicked the position, so that will stay forever. For example, of course, I'm on there. Our city mayor and our chairman, superintendent of the school system are the chairs of that council. And then Madison County Sheriff, Chief of Police, Juvenile Justice Judge and Court System, Director of our Juvenile Court Services, Madison County CASA, Parks and Rec, Jackson Housing, Tennessee Homeless Solutions, Department of Human Services, Department of Children's Services, Jackson Madison County Public Library, Tennessee Commission on Children and Youth, West Tennessee Healthcare, Healthy Families of Southwest Tennessee, Le Bonheur Children's Hospital, United Way of West Tennessee, and Boys and Girls Club. And so you can hear those are people that are interested and have direct contact with youth throughout the year. And so we want them at the table to develop solutions to issues with our youth. So out of that, like I said, been meeting since March. There's going to be an announcement in a couple of weeks, an official press release, so act surprised. But our Madison County Children's Cabinet has been meeting for nearly a year. We've already started to receive some national recognition. We've already started to receive some state recognition as a group that is going to be able to be a clearinghouse for good ideas to come out of to serve our youth. Our 4 goals that we're focused on for the time being is, number 1, to decrease youth violence and gun violence. We're going to focus on early childhood education and child care needs in Madison County. We're going to work to improve mental health outcomes with our youth, and then to improve housing stability. Those are the 4 identified goals among that group. We are hard at work, and like I said, that's probably what I'm most proud of, because that's the thing that's going to live on past Mayor Conger and I's terms and improve our county. Like I said, during the campaign, I sat in a group just like this where Tennessee Commission on Children and Youth, a data gathering organization for our state, presented data on our youth and presented data on our success or failure for each county. Like I said, we were 95 out of 95 counties. And that gets thrown around a lot, and it's almost accusatory. So during the campaign, I decided, well, that's going to change. We're going to fix that. And so once again, I'm proud that early on in this term, we've begun to look at that, and we're starting to move the needle. The state is already recognizing that there's something happening in Madison County. We've actually sent a group to Harvard to be educated on this part. They were invited because of the work we're already doing. We haven't even officially announced, and we've been invited out of state to share our best practices and to help grow that group. So raise your hand if you're a part of the Madison County Children's Cabinet. I know, right, we've got some in here. Ask these people the work they do and how important that is. They do great work every day, but this Children's Cabinet is a working group. I tell them every time, and y'all can nod your heads, I tell you every time, this is not a group where we're going to sit around and talk about how bad things are, woe is me, and go back to our day jobs. We're going to do work. We're going to do work. We're going to have results come out of this group. So I'm very, very proud of that. I do want to say that it's an honor to serve as your county mayor. I do really believe that I have 100,000 people that I work for every day. And we strive every day in my office to talk about ways to make lives and families' lives better in Madison County. The future is bright in your county. The future is positive in your county. I ask you to continue to say that as you go throughout the community. There's so much to be proud of, and there's so much I want to say that I can't. It's coming in the next 12 months. So we'll talk about that this time next year. But on top of that, just thank you so much for your time, and I will take some questions. It's a two-way tie. Gary Deaton and Joe Hill, or it's a two-way tie right there.
Thank you.
No, I have 25 favorites. You know how that works. Yes, sir.
Very exciting news, and it sounds like things are moving in the right direction. My question is, financially, it sounds like we're in excellent shape, and I'm under the assumption that property values have increased greatly in the last several years, and probably will proceed with that, and so we'll see probably increased revenue from that. So my question is, has there been any consideration for a tax cut of any kind?
That would be a county commission question for sure. I would say there actually was a tax rate cut this last year. Our county has chosen to not raise taxes based on property values. So your property value was reassessed 2 years ago, and you saw that number increase. Hopefully you saw that number increase, but your taxes may have gone up, but we actually did lower the tax rate in Madison County to offset that and to balance that out. So that's something I think you should be proud of. There are some communities, I can tell you, that would have been very proud of that new assessment, and they would have left their tax rate where it was, and they would have loved the new revenue. Our county commission decided to lower the tax rate to make sure that things were as balanced as possible. If your property value went up by, I think it was 23% or more, you did see a little bit extra on your tax bill. But my rebuttal to that is, well, what do you want to happen? You want your property value to go down? I hope it's moving in the right direction, and I appreciate our county commission being aware of that. I will say that the county commission has not proactively increased taxes in at least 20 or 25 years in Madison County, and so that has helped us gain industry, that's helped us gain citizens, and helped our population growth over the last couple of years especially.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, I think that's time, I'm being told. Thank y'all so much.
All right, good job.
The program you've been watching was made possible through the generous financial support of West Tennessee PBS viewers like you. Please visit westtnpbs.org and make a donation today so that we can continue to make local programs like this possible. Thank you.
It's all about